At the airport, I was informed that my ticket had been canceled. My family boarded the flight without a single glance back. That night, my sister sent me a text. "You should be used to being left out by now." I just replied, "Don't worry. Your new year will be unforgettable." When they came back, their phones lit up with alerts. After that, their lives began to fall apart. I still remember standing there holding my daughter's hand as the flight attendants scanned boarding passes. The line was moving fast. Everyone was in a good mood, dressed in layers, holding Starbucks cups, taking selfies with their neck pillows. I could see my parents near the front, my sister snapping pictures with her husband, and my brother tossing jokes around like he always did when he was excited. My daughter waved at them. No one waved back. This trip had been planned for 2 months. Group chats, booking links, screenshots of the cabin we were renting, heated floors, a massive fireplace, private hot tub on the deck, snow forecast for New Year's Eve. I was the third person to send in money, $1,300 split just like everyone else. It was supposed to be a week away from everything. Finally, the airport was packed. People rushing, kids crying, suitcases squealing behind parents in a hurry. I was nervous for some reason, but I chalked it up to flying with a kid. I double-checked our bags, our coats, my purse. Everything was in place until it wasn't. The moment the airline agent looked at my ticket, I felt something was off. She scanned it once, then again. Her expression didn't change, but her eyes moved quickly to another screen. Then she asked to see my ID. I knew something was wrong when she stepped aside and called someone over. I asked what the issue was. She said my reservation had been canceled. She said it quietly like it was something I already knew. I asked her to check again. She did. Same result. I told her that couldn't be right, that I paid, that my entire family was on this flight. She asked if maybe someone else had booked it for me. I said yes. My sister had added everyone to the group reservation. That's when the second agent gave me a look I won't forget. Not rude, not pitying, just like she understood something I didn't yet. I stepped away, my daughter, asking if we were getting on the plane. I told her just a minute and I grabbed my phone. I texted my sister, my brother, even my mom. No one answered. I looked up from my phone and saw them boarding. My parents, my sister, my brother, even my cousin, who didn't chip in for groceries last Thanksgiving, was happily walking down the jet bridge. Not one of them turned around. My daughter tugged my sleeve and asked if we were still going on vacation. I said, no. The Uber ride home was silent, except for her asking once if I was mad. I told her I wasn't, but I was. Mad doesn't cover it. I was numb at first, then cold, then something else entirely. At home, I sat on the edge of my bed and scrolled through our group chat. There was a message from 4 days earlier from my sister saying, "I'll handle the final confirmations." No one questioned it. Why would they? He always handled that stuff. And this time, apparently, she'd handled me right out of the plan. Around 10 p.m., after ignoring my messages for hours, she finally texted me back. Music, it said. "You should be used to being left out by now." No warning, no explanation, just that. I stared at it for 10 seconds before I typed back, "Don't worry, your new year will be unforgettable." And then I got to work. They forgot who they were dealing with. They forgot how much of the family's finances ran through me. Bills, subscriptions, auto-pays, savings. I'd been the one they quietly relied on for years. Never complained, never made a scene. But that night, I logged into every shared account, changed every password, and pulled out every dollar tied to my name. By the time I finished, I wasn't part of the family anymore. I was something else, and that was only the start. They landed early the next morning. My sister posted one of those fake, candid videos, snow drifting slowly outside the cabin window. Her coffee cup placed perfectly in the frame. The caption said something like, "Finally breathing again." A few minutes later, my brother uploaded a clip of the living room. Wooden beams, a fire crackling, someone laughing off camera, probably my cousin. My mom was already wearing that fuzzy robe she mentioned 3 times in the group chat. They looked warm, relaxed, like nothing had happened. I watched it all from my apartment while my daughter ate cereal and asked if we could go sledding later. I said yes and smiled. Not because I was okay, not because it didn't hurt, but because I had a plan now. They thought leaving me behind was something I'd just move past. They forgot I was the one who handled things. That first day, I didn't do anything big. I wanted them comfortable. I let them post their little videos and pretend they were living some Pinterest fantasy. I even gave them 24 hours of peace. Then I started. The first thing I did was remove my debit card from the utility bills at my parents' house. My name was the only one on autopay. The bills wouldn't fail until the next cycle, but the process had begun. Next came the streaming services. Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, family plans gone. I didn't just change passwords. I shut the accounts down completely. The emails were mine, so were the payments. They'd find out later that night, probably halfway through a movie, when the screen froze and the room went silent. By noon, my phone started buzzing. A missed call from my cousin. I didn't answer. He texted asking if I'd changed the password to the expense document. I ignored it. Then my sister sent a single word. Seriously. Still nothing from me. By day 2, they were panicking. I got a vague voicemail from my mom, saying they were having trouble with a reservation and asking if I'd updated something on my end. Her voice sounded calm, like she was hiding her worry. She still didn't understand. But that night, things shifted. They went to a fancy steakhouse in town. My dad's card was declined twice. The joint account we shared for big expenses was empty. I'd taken everything out. Their backup card didn't work either. It was linked to a PayPal I'd set up years ago, and that balance was gone too. Then the cabin host emailed my sister. The second half of the rental payment hadn't gone through. The deposit was on my card. They assumed I'd be there. My name was removed. The payment failed, and my sister had to use her own card. She stopped posting after that and deleted the earlier videos. By day 3, my brother left early. My mom said it was work, but I knew better. The savings account I shared with him for truck repairs was closed. By day 4, the real panic started. The mortgage account, the emergency fund, every shared bank link tied to my name was disconnected. That's when messages came in from everyone, even relatives who weren't on the trip. My mom texted me directly, "What's happening?" I read it and closed the app. I was never the favorite, never the loud one, but I was always the safety net. They cut me out without thinking. Now they were learning what it felt like without me. And the week wasn't even over yet. Cabin fever is real. No filters this time. Around 10 a.m., my mom called again. I watched it ring. Then my dad, then my brother, then my sister twice. She followed up with a text, "Can we please just talk?" Not one of them said sorry. I didn't reply. At noon, my cousins sent a longer message. The cabin host had threatened to cancel their last 2 nights if the balance wasn't cleared. The second charge on my sister's card failed, and my dad's backup card was frozen. They were embarrassed and stuck. I wasn't sure what they expected from me. They'd thrown me out of the trip like extra baggage, and now wanted me to carry it again. By 1 p.m., the group chat exploded. My mom asked if anyone could access the emergency account. The mortgage had bounced. My sister said the account no longer existed. My brother asked about the savings. It was chaos. I just watched. The financial system I'd quietly held together was gone, removed the same way I was. That afternoon, my dad showed up at my apartment without warning. I didn't open the door. I stood there while my daughter sat silently in the other room. He knocked, waited, then left. Watching him walk back to his car, I realized he didn't come with answers. He came because they were cornered. Later, my sister sent a long message saying things had gone too far, that no one meant to hurt me, that I was taking this too seriously, that I should think about my daughter. No mention of the airport, no explanation, nothing about leaving me behind. I didn't respond. That night, I got a voicemail from an unknown number. It was the cabin host, awkwardly asking if I could reactivate the payment or transfer the booking. They'd been trying to verify funds for 2 days. The storm had made it worse, and the reservation was now flagged. When I heard the word fraud, I actually laughed, not because it was funny, but because the irony was overwhelming. At dinner, my daughter asked why everyone kept calling. I told her that sometimes people don't realize someone's value until they lose them, and then they panic. She nodded like she understood. One day, she would. That night, I finally replied to my mom's last message. She asked, "Are you doing this on purpose?" I wrote back, "Yes, and I'm not even close to finished." Then I muted the chat and put my phone face down. They had 1 day left at the cabin, and I was just getting started. On their final full day, everything went silent. The trip they'd been posting like a lifestyle blog suddenly disappeared. No photos, no updates. Nothing. I assumed they were exhausted or finally starting to understand. Then around 9 a.m., I got an email from the cabin's property manager. Not automated, direct, and urgent. They tried charging the balance 4 times. Every attempt failed. If payment wasn't made by 6 p.m., they'd contact the sheriff for intentional non-payment. Instead of replying, I forwarded the email straight into the family group chat. No explanation, just consequences. My phone exploded with calls. I ignored everyone. Then a blocked number came through. I answered. It was the county sheriff's office. The woman asked if I was still part of the reservation. I told her the truth, that I'd been removed from the trip, never boarded the plane, never stayed at the cabin, and never received a refund. There was a long pause. Then she said, "Understood, thank you for your time." Less than 10 minutes later, my sister texted, "Did you actually report us?" I saw it and didn't reply. They were doing enough damage on their own. At 1:30 p.m., while I was helping my daughter put on her snow boots, someone knocked. Quiet and steady. I checked the peephole. It was my brother. He looked exhausted. Wrinkled jacket, messy hair, no smile. I opened the door because my daughter was watching. We sat at the kitchen table covered in crayons. He said he didn't know my ticket had been canceled, that my sister handled everything, that he thought I backed out. I told him I was at the gate, holding my child's hand, while she waved at him and he looked away. He didn't argue. He slid a check across the table, $1,300, my share of the trip. He begged me to take it, said everyone was panicking and talking about lawyers. I didn't touch it. I told him this wasn't about money. It was about years of being treated like a backup plan, a safety net they used and ignored. This was me stepping away for good. He nodded and left without another word. That night, my sister sent her final messages, calling me bitter and saying I wasn't acting like a real daughter. I saved them, not for proof, but to remember who they were. The next morning, the story hit local news. Luxury cabin guests under investigation for unpaid rental fees during holiday storm. The photo was blurry, but clear enough. My parents, my sister, my cousin, all standing there as everything finally caught up to them. By lunchtime, they were trending locally. Someone shared the article on Facebook and tagged my sister. I didn't laugh or smile. I just poured coffee and watched quietly. For the first time in years, they were the ones explaining themselves, and I didn't have to say a word. The story didn't go viral, but it reached exactly who it needed to. Their town, their church group, their social circle. The caption was simple: out-of-town guests failed to pay for cabin rental during winter storm. Under investigation. The photo was unflattering, but undeniable. By noon, my mom's Facebook was gone, my sister's stories deleted, my cousin's account locked. The group chat wasn't just quiet, it was dead. I expected backlash, angry messages, another visit. But nothing came, just silence. Not prideful silence, ashamed silence. 3 days passed without a single call. No one needed me to fix anything. Then Friday afternoon, while I was folding laundry, my daughter brought me an envelope left at the door. No name. Inside was the same uncashed check and a typed letter. It said I wasn't entitled to a refund since I didn't go on the trip. It called everything a family misunderstanding and said it was time to move on. I didn't argue. I flipped the page over and wrote one sentence: next time you want peace, don't start a war you expect someone else to clean up. I sealed it and dropped it in their mailbox. No drama, just the truth. The rest of the weekend was oddly calm. No calls. No messages. No one showed up. The group chat stayed silent. I think they finally understood the damage wasn't just about money. It was about knowing exactly where I stood and accepting it. That Sunday, everything shifted. We were walking home from the park, snow melting under our boots, when my daughter asked, "Why do we always have to be the quiet ones?" She said, "When people are cruel or leave us out. I always move on." But she didn't think it was okay. She wasn't blaming me, she was just telling the truth, and she was right. For years, I'd kept the peace no matter the cost. I looked at her and said, "You're right, it's not okay. And it won't happen again." That night, I booked a trip just for us. Mid-January, a private cabin in Colorado. Snow, firewood, a hot tub by a frozen lake. No group chats, no shared accounts, just us. When the confirmation came, I posted a simple screenshot with one line: paid in full. No one left behind. A few days later, we were in the mountains, laughing in the snow, drinking cocoa by the fire. I posted photos, not for attention but for clarity. For once, I wasn't fixing things for anyone else. I was living, and I didn't miss them at all. We left early on a Thursday, no rush. Just me, my daughter, a thermos of coffee, and a playlist she helped choose. The cabin was quiet and tucked between mountains, with a view that made everything else fade away. I knew I wouldn't use my phone to message anyone. Those bridges were gone. I would only share my version of the story. That first evening, I posted a photo: my daughter in a red beanie, mid-laugh, holding a snowball. No caption. By morning, 3 relatives had seen it, including my sister. Quiet likes followed from extended family. No comments, no DMs. Just digital traces from people who knew what happened and didn't know how to react to me not being broken. Each day, I shared more: snowmobiles, late-night hot tub, a clip of us baking cookies. I even posted the dog sled receipt. Not to brag, but to show I paid for it myself. No shared cards, no silent subsidies, just me. Reactions were subtle but clear. My cousin posted a vague quote about letting go of grudges. My mom sent a single heart emoji. I didn't reply. One night, my sister posted for the first time in weeks: a black square with white text: "People change. Sometimes the kindest become cold after being burned too many times." I didn't screenshot it. I didn't need to. I hadn't become cold. I had become clear. On our last night, my daughter asked if we could come back next year. I said yes. No one else needed approval. We were our own plan. On the flight home, she fell asleep against me. I watched the clouds and thought about how quiet everything had become once I stopped asking to be seen. When we landed, one last message waited from my sister: "You made your point. Hope it was worth it." I stared at it, then blocked her, not out of spite, but because there was nothing left to say. It wasn't revenge anymore. It was freedom, and I had never felt lighter.